If you're a man and feel like you can never understand the modern woman, pay attention now. Stop fooling yourself. Feminine beauty doesn't exist to make you happy. It doesn't exist to build true love. It's a weapon, a carefully calibrated lure that captures male attention, triggers desire, and confuses the mind before you even realize it. Every smile, every curve, every seemingly innocent gesture is a silent invitation that triggers ancient emotional patterns within you, patterns that the modern woman has learned to exploit without guilt. The average man falls into this trap every day. He looks at a beautiful woman and feels the urge to protect, to please, to make an effort. It's instinctive, automatic, and Freud had already realized what you feel is just the tip of the iceberg. Behind beauty lies repression, neediness, resentment, and projected trauma, all masked by charm and empowerment. The more you allow yourself to be caught up in the superficial spectacle, the more vulnerable you are. Become to the invisible poison it carries. Female repression isn't inherently malicious. It's an unconscious defense mechanism, refined over generations, that transforms male desire into psychic fuel. Every gesture, every aesthetic choice, every way of presenting oneself socially carries signals that manipulate reactions, arousing competitiveness and insecurity, while you believe you're gaining genuine attention. You're not. You're falling into an ancient trap, disguised as feminine charm and power. If you still think beauty is synonymous with value, you need to wake up. Most men think that being admired by a beautiful woman is a conquest, is love, is reciprocity. But Freud teaches us that the symptom is not the cause. The attraction you feel is merely a reflection of her psychic patterns, patterns that transform frustration, neediness, and repression into power over those who allow themselves to be involved. Female repression is silent, but lethal. It manifests itself in a smile that seems innocent but tests your interest, in clothing that arouses desire but triggers insecurity, in the compliment you receive that actually reminds you of your position, that of a psychic instrument to fill her emotional voids. It's all unconscious, but effective, and the man who doesn't realize it loses himself emotionally before even trying to understand. Feminine beauty isn't freedom, it's not strength, it's not genuine expression, it's psychic performance. Every Instagram photo, every story, every selfie is an extension of ancient power plays adapted for modernity. She's learned to manipulate male attention without even conscious intent. The result? You feel confused, dependent, and often guilty, thinking it's your fault for not understanding the signals. But the truth is, you're reacting to the repression projected onto you, not to genuine feelings. A man who doesn't understand this becomes a hostage. He gets lost, frustrated, and often surrenders to something that was never about him. He believes he's being loved, when in fact he's feeding a projection of female desires and traumas. With every smile, every gesture, every sign of interest, he sinks deeper into the trap. This is why so many men complain about not being able to understand women, even when they try with all their best. Freud explains that this dynamic is universal and profound. Feminine beauty is the tip of a complex psychic structure, where repression, neediness, and resentment hide behind charm, smiles, and empowerment. Men are instinctively attracted and respond without filter, while women maintain their emotional protection intact. Repression acts silently, transforming desire into confusion, attraction into dependence, attention into emotional submission. According to Freud, feminine beauty is not merely aesthetic, it is a psychic instrument, a lure calibrated to activate desires, fears, and patterns of submission in men. The repression hidden behind charm is not just frustration or trauma. It is an invisible force that shapes behaviors and relationships, transforming attraction into a trap and desire into confusion. A man who fails to recognize this dynamic becomes an involuntary hostage to a projection that has nothing to do with him, believing in signs of love and attention while in reality feeding the repression that silently consumes him. It is the poison of repression disguised as beauty, and only awareness of this psychic mechanism can free a man from the unconscious manipulation that haunts every modern relationship. If you're a man and still think the modern woman's game is simple, prepare yourself for a painful truth. She's not transparent, she's not predictable, and above all, she's not thinking about your emotional well-being. Every gesture, every choice, every seemingly innocent word carries layers of repression you can't even imagine. Freud once said, "Female behavior is a reflection of the unconscious, and understanding this is the difference between being manipulated and mastering your own emotional life." Let's be clear, the modern woman has learned to use three main repressions as weapons. They're often unconscious, but their effects are devastating. The first is the repression of value. She believes that being desired is the only proof of her worth. She doesn't just want attention, she needs it to validate her self-esteem. And you, unsuspecting man, become the thermometer of this value. The more you strive to please, the more you feed the poison of repression hidden behind the smile, the compliment, the affectionate gesture. The second repression is the repression of control. She wants to maintain her autonomy while simultaneously testing the man's limits. Every decision you make, every position you assume, is unconsciously observed as a measure of power. She will manipulate situations to gauge whether you yield to emotional pressure, whether you submit to her expectations. And when you don't realize it, you become a prisoner of your own desire to please, feeding the game without realizing it. Freud would explain this as a projection of ancient traumas adapted to the modern era. The third repression is the repression of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being vulnerable, fear of facing internal frustrations. She hides these vulnerabilities behind a facade of strength, freedom, or empowerment, and you, the instinctively attracted man, believe you found someone with integrity and transparency. But the truth is that what you see is only superficial, while behind it lies a world of insecurities and resentments that shape the relationship in an invisible but powerful way. Do you feel confused? That's natural. Female repression is designed to create emotional turmoil in men. Every smile, every compliment, every gesture of affection is unconsciously calculated to awaken patterns of desire, insecurity, and submission. Freud teaches us that these projections create a cycle of emotional dependence, where the man seeks validation and affection, while the woman maintains her psychic shield intact. It's a game of invisible forces, and the man who doesn't understand ends up being manipulated without realizing it. But what truly destroys modern man is the false sense of reciprocity. He believes her interest is love, that her desire is genuine affection. It's not. It's repression disguised as attention. Every gesture of closeness is an extension of her repression, activating ancient patterns of submission and emotional need in men. The more you engage, the more you become psychic fodder for the poison hidden behind beauty. And it doesn't stop there. The modern woman also masters the repression of competition. She constantly compares herself to other women, but turns this comparison into a test for men. Her every reaction to photos, comments, and compliments from others, even unconsciously, is observed and interpreted as a measure of value and interest. Freud would explain that this is a primitive defense mechanism, but in modern times it manifests itself with subtlety and devastating effectiveness. The man who fails to notice this enters a cycle of anxiety, insecurity, and confusion, exactly as projected by female repression. The modern woman's repression isn't uniform. It changes according to age, experience, and context. A young woman may manifest repression of validation and desire, while a more mature woman may display repression of control and fear of loss. Each variation keeps the man trapped in a pattern of instinctive reaction, confusing desire with love, attraction with dependence. And most men still insist on believing they're in a balanced relationship, when in fact they're constantly feeding her repression. Freud explains that the female psyche is structured to maintain this invisible balance of power. The attraction you feel is projected onto patterns of neediness, frustration, and repression that she doesn't always consciously recognize. A man who doesn't learn to identify these projections becomes a victim of a profound psychic game, where desire and emotional turmoil coexist. It's the bait and the poison working together, silently. Do you feel trapped in this cycle? It's no coincidence. Freud teaches us that female repression acts as an emotional survival mechanism. It protects women from facing vulnerabilities, but it places men at the center of the storm, making them react to stimuli that aren't really about them. The more you react, the deeper you fall into the cycle. The more you understand, the more you distance yourself from the unconscious control she exerts over you. It's time to realize the stark reality. Feminine beauty isn't innocent. It's not for you. It's not for genuine love. It's not for happiness. It's the tip of a psychic iceberg containing repression, neediness, and resentment, all projected onto the man who allows himself to be blinded by desire. Freud already said that the symptom is not the cause. What you feel, the attraction, the desire to please, the obsession, is merely a reflection of patterns she projects unconsciously. The man who finally understands this can free himself. He learns to observe without reacting, to understand without deceiving himself, to feel without losing himself. Because female repression is powerful, silent, and invisible, but not invincible. Those who understand the psychic mechanisms, who understand the dynamics, stop being prisoners of bait and switch and start playing on equal terms. If you've made it this far, it means you're ready to face the truth most men ignore. Feminine beauty is a lure, and behind it lies a psychic poison, the repression it projects. But now the question is clear. How do you protect yourself from this poison and maintain control over your emotional life? Freud once said that consciousness is the most powerful weapon against the projected unconscious. If you don't understand the mechanisms that govern female behavior, you're always one step behind. Every compliment, every gesture you interpret as love could be a projection of female repression, testing your limits, triggering insecurities, and creating emotional dependence. The first rule, therefore, is to deconstruct the illusion of modern female love. Don't accept the facade, don't believe in the performance, and don't surrender yourself without critical analysis. The second rule is to observe without reacting automatically. Developing psychoanalytic. Perception is essential, knowing when a gesture from her is genuine affection or just unconscious manipulation. Freud teaches us that many men can't differentiate because we react instinctively to beauty and physical enchantment. It's time to break this cycle. It's not about becoming cold, but about taking control of your own emotions. The third rule is to set clear boundaries. The modern woman will test your patience, challenge your emotional authority, and provoke insecurity. If you don't show that you're not a hostage to her repression, you become a prisoner of your own desire. Boundaries aren't about controlling her, but about controlling yourself. Freud emphasized that understanding the female psyche means, first and foremost, knowing your own triggers. And if you truly want to decode female repression, spot patterns and signals before they affect you, there's an exclusive space created for men like you, the Channel Club. In this space, you'll have access to content not found in public videos, detailed psychoanalytic posts, shorts showing patterns of modern female behavior, and personalized emojis that express concepts no one else explains. All created so you can truly understand female dynamics without filters or fluff. Access to this exclusive content will transform your perception. Learn to identify repression, manipulation, and signals before becoming emotionally involved. Freud reminds us that female repression acts invisibly, manipulating male feelings and desires without you even realizing it. The more informed you are, the more protected you are. Here you'll access in-depth analysis, signs of manipulation, and unconscious mechanisms, all to help you act consciously and maintain your emotional autonomy. It's not about hating women or becoming manipulative. It's about understanding, perceiving, and acting with clarity. This exclusive space is for men who want to master their own psyche, interpret modern female behavior, and react consciously. It's a chance to see beyond the facade, see through the repression, and play on equal terms. Freud would summarize it this way: psychic knowledge is power, perception is freedom, awareness is protection. And here, at the Channel Club, you'll have access to exactly that. Tools to escape illusion, understand patterns, and no longer be a prisoner of modern feminine repression. This channel delivers lucidity, unvarnished psychoanalysis, and real insight into modern female psychology. Here you'll find no romanticization, sensationalism, or spin, just deep, direct, and unfiltered analysis. If you want to go further, sign up for the exclusive members area, where posts, shorts, emojis, and detailed analysis show you exactly how to spot signs of resentment before they hit you. Feminine beauty may be the bait, but now you have the awareness and knowledge to avoid being caught. Freud would say, psychic knowledge is power, perception is freedom, awareness is protection. Use this. Observe, understand, and act with clarity. We've reached the final stage of this no-makeup analysis of the modern female psyche. So far, you've learned that feminine beauty is merely the bait, and the repression it projects is the real poison. If you ignore this, you'll remain hostage to emotional games that drain your energy, erode your self-esteem, and transform desire into psychic slavery. Freud taught us that understanding the mind is protecting oneself from it. Female repression isn't obvious. It doesn't announce itself. It infiltrates daily interactions, in compliments that seem innocent, in gestures that seem affectionate, in I love yous that mask manipulation. The difference between a conscious man and an ordinary man lies in the ability to perceive before reacting, to analyze before surrendering, to set limits before being subjugated. It's not about distrusting everything or becoming cynical. It's about applied knowledge, observing signs, identifying patterns, differentiating real. Affection from unconscious projection. Every gesture of a modern woman carries layers: desire, repression, manipulation, ego, and a man who can't read these layers is always one step behind. If you truly want to become a man who plays on equal terms, who doesn't get lost in women's games, who understands the real dynamics of modern love, there's an exclusive space created for you. In the Channel Club, you'll have access to content that's not visible to the public. In-depth psychoanalytic posts, shorts showing patterns of modern female behavior, exclusive emojis to express concepts no one explains, and detailed analyses of every interaction that most men overlook. Here, you won't receive empty formulas or self-help cliches. You'll receive real, direct, and straightforward insights based on psychoanalysis, observation, and experience. You'll learn to decode signals before they affect you, react consciously, and maintain emotional autonomy even in the face of the most subtle manipulation. Freud said that the male mind only grows stronger when it recognizes feminine mechanisms without fear, guilt, or attachment to illusion. That's exactly what you'll find at Club dos Canales: clarity, insight, and tools to free yourself from modern feminine repression. So if you've made it this far and are ready to play on equal terms, master your own psyche, and act consciously, sign up now for the Channel Club. It's not about hating women or becoming manipulative. It's about understanding, perceiving, and reacting freely. It's about being the man who doesn't let himself be fooled, who doesn't give in without analysis, and who knows how to identify the poison behind the bait. Don't put it off any longer. Awareness is your greatest weapon. Join the Channel Club and start playing with clarity. Freud would say, those who know are not manipulated, those who observe are not deceived, those who understand are free.